Sorry, that was really loud. Yep, you may, yes. All right, guys, so to start off for our review, we are first going to look at section 1 of chapter 2. I know it feels like so long ago, but we're gonna go through this. Section 1 of chapter 2 was Roots of American Democracy. I'm going to erase that off the board really quick. Let me zoom in. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. Oh, one there. All right, cool. Is that door open? Yeah. All right, let's get it started. What do you guys have down for Magna Carta? What do you guys have down for Magna Carta? Morgan?
An English document signed by King John, instituted rule of law, and protected certain individual rights.
One more time. English document signed by King John.
That instituted that rule of law and protected certain individual rights.
All right. Anybody else have anything for that? Anyone else have anything for that? What came before rule of law? Rule of man. Because now, under the rule of law, everyone is equal under the law, including government officials. Good, excellent. All right. File. All right, cool. The petition of right, what do you guys have for that? Petition of right, what is the significance of the petition of right? The petition of right. Anybody? Go ahead, Ella. Awesome. Basically, the English legislature forced King Charles to sign this document. And then what did you say? To protect or to? Individuals against the state. Awesome. So basically an example of this would be, to protect people from unlawful punishment, and also, protect them from, what's it called? Imprisonment for no reason. Unlawful imprisonment. Good. Basically, again, this is another way that the English were setting the groundwork for these different ideas. Girls, the Magna Carta. What was this an idea of, the Magna Carta? We have important English ideas that we adopted from England, and this is an example of limited government. That's an example of limited government. The petition of right, like Ella said, this is an example of the important English idea of individual rights. Okay, and we're seeing this on the board, right, where I'm typing? We're following along? Awesome. And then we have the English Bill of Rights. Somebody tell me about the English Bill of Rights. Someone tell me about the English Bill of Rights. Go ahead, Morgan.
It limited monarch's power to raise taxes, attack laws that keep the economy without parliament consent. And the parliament had the privilege of free speech and people had protection.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Made them convert from a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy.
Excellent. Converted England. So what Corinne said is really important. It converted England from a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. Excellent. And this is, again, an example of individual rights. This protected individual rights. Okay. Right. And this also ends the Glorious Revolution, if we remember that. Everyone okay with this information so far? Awesome. Make sure you're copying it because I have to start from scratch earlier with the next class. So make sure you're copying this stuff down. Okay. Awesome. So let's look at the critical thinking. Let's look at the critical thinking. How did the struggle between Parliament and the English monarch affect American ideas? What do you have? What do we have? Anybody? Give it a go. So the question says, how did the struggle between Parliament and the English monarch affect American ideas about government? To answer this simply, how did Parliament feel about the English monarch? How did the English people feel about the English monarch? Morgan? Felt like they had too much power, right? Felt like they had too much power. So the people wanted to secure individual rights. With that being said, okay, so knowing that there was a power struggle between Parliament and the English monarch, where the English monarch had too much power and would often oppress the people and violate their rights, how did this affect American ideas about government? How did this shape what we expected government to do for us? How did this struggle affect the way that we saw government and shape what we wanted out of a government? Go ahead.
I said that in order for a government to be successful, that the parliament has the people, not the government.
Excellent. Right? So, great job. Basically, the idea is that we want to make sure that the power is with the people so that the people are not oppressed. We wanted to use these English ideas like limited government, representative democracy, and individual rights to form our government because we saw what happened to the English people under a monarch. So the struggle between Parliament and the English monarch showed that the monarch had more power than Parliament. And the people, and he violated the people's rights. With this, Americans adopted ideas such as limited government, representative democracy, and individual rights to ensure that the rights to ensure that the monarch, or to ensure that the government did not violate the rights of the people. Okay, does that make sense? All these ideas were basically founded in order to limit the monarch and so that government would be representative of the people and that the people would hold rights. So with that being said, seeing this struggle between parliament and the monarch, Americans did not want to move forward with that kind of government. So they took these ideas like representative government, limited government, and individual rights, and we incorporated them into our democracy to make sure that we set ourselves up for success. All right, any questions about that, girls? Is that clear? Okay. All right, let's look at this next question. How did royal, proprietary, and charter colonies differ from one another? I'm getting a very sad feeling that we didn't all do this yesterday. Go ahead, Morgan.
Proprietary was based on the grant led by Thomas Monmouth.
Excellent. Proprietary was based on a land grant from the monarch, basically named the proprietor to be the king of the colony. In addition to that, it was interesting because they had a unicameral legislature that was elected by the people, right? So that's the proprietary colony. Bless you, right? So that was cool. Bless you. What was a royal colony? Go ahead, Anna.
Was directly controlled by the king and the legislature, and the members of the lower house were elected, the members of the upper house were appointed for the government.
Great. So what kind of legislature is that? Yep. You said there was an upper house and a lower house? Excellent. There's an upper house and a lower house. The lower house was elected by the people, which was good. Right, because that's representative government. And then lastly, we have the charter colonies. What's up with them? What's up with the charter colonies? Go ahead, Abigail.
They had the most independence from the crown.
Most independence from the crown. Excellent. Why? Anybody know? Did you want to continue? Or what else do you have?
I said that they could also elect the legislature and appoint their own governor.
And do what with their own government?
Appoint their own.
They had the most freedom because they were basically people that just went over there on the charter. They selected their own governor, they elected their own legislatures, and it was like they were living happily ever after. They were the most free from the crown. What they would do is they would elect the legislature, like the people serving in government, in Congress, and then they would pick out who they wanted to be the governor. So that one was the most free from the crown, but the proprietary was most representative of the people. All right. Just gonna scroll down. You can still see up there, but we're gonna move on to section 2. All right, let's try to, when does this period end? 50? Got it. All right, we're gonna try to move. Iroquois Confederation. What do you have for the Iroquois Confederation? Morgan?
A powerful alliance with the 6 Native nations, American nations.
A what?
A powerful alliance of the 6 Native American nations.
Awesome, very good. And why were we looking at this? This is an early attempt at unity in the new lands. This is an example of an early attempt at unity. Okay, make sure you jot that down. This is important because it's an early attempt at unity as Britain urged the colonies to sign a treaty with this confederation. So this was the first form of unity. And basically, this alliance lasted for close to 200 years, where there's peace between these members of the colony and of the Native American, of the Iroquois Confederation. Make sense? Basically, these are early attempts at unities that we saw in the colonies before we got together for the American Revolution. That's what we're looking for. That's the significance of looking at this. Albany Plan of Union, guys, what do we have? Anybody? Go ahead, Simone.
So, proposed by Benjamin Franklin.
Ooh,
Control trade, refinance, and build settlement.
excellent. So, control trade, build what?
Build settlement. I mean, yeah.
Yep. And then build settlement as well. This was rejected, this idea, because it gave too much power to the crown. But, again, it was an early attempt at unity in the colonies. That's the significance. It's an early attempt at unity, right? Awesome. Make sure you jot that down. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit so we can keep up. All right, that should be good, right? Because you can still see the Albany Plan of Union up there. Stamp Act, girls, what about it? Go ahead.
It was the prime minister's attack to tax colonies directly.
And who did it? You were right, Parliament, right? Parliament's first attempt to tax the colonies directly. If I were to ask you why, what would you tell me? Why were they taxing the colonies? Morgan?
We need to pay that from the war, for example.
Excellent. Very good. All right, girls, delegates.
When we talk about the Iroquois Confederation, like what was the point of like the colony signing treaty with the 5 tribes?
Good question. So the point of it was that historically there had been violence and conflict between Native Americans and the colonies because they were colonizing the land that originally belonged to Native Americans. And there often would be little outbreaks of conflict within the colonies. And what would happen was there would be a conflict between natives, conflict between colonies, and then it would result in conflict for the rest of the years to come. So in addition to this, the natives know the land really well, right? They know the land really well. So therefore, Benjamin Franklin said, why don't we try to make an alliance? Not Benjamin Franklin, but Great Britain said, try to make an alliance with the Iroquois Confederation, because not only do they know the land that you are on and know what would harvest best, know the layout of the land, but also if you make this alliance in the beginning, you could have a chance at peace throughout the life of the colony. And so that was the reason, just to kind of maintain peace between those tribes and the colonies. And so this did last for a little bit, 200 years in that area. Does that make sense? It was basically just to make sure that there would be peace and communication. Delegates, what's the significance of the word delegate? Go ahead.
A person selected to represent a group.
To represent a group. Excellent. And so, misspelled person. It is a person elected to represent a group. And we saw delegates from each colony in the Continental Congresses, right? Delegates from each colony, or delegates from the colonies. Why can't I spell? There we go. Delegates from the colonies in the Continental Congresses, right? That they sent delegates or representation later on in the Continental Congresses. Good. Okay. First Continental Congress. What about it? Gianni? Did you say, are you saying Parliament?
No.
Wait, what? Oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? It's just you're far away.
A meeting of delegates from the 13 colonies.
Gotcha. A meeting of delegates from the 13 colonies. Okay, they sent a declaration of resolves to King George as a result of what? As a result of what? Go ahead. Excellent, the Intolerable Acts. Excellent. Basically asking him to, repeal the Intolerable Acts. We're gonna put KG for King George. Where's that at? Yep. King George rejects plan. And then we see the shot heard around the world, fired where? Fired where? It's the first armed conflict between the British and the first armed conflict between the British and the colonies. I think you know it, Mia. No, that was actually the Boston Massacre, which is important. I shouldn't have said it that way. Boston Massacre was super important. That was when the British did first use weapons against the colonies. This is a situation where the colonies are armed too, though. It's like a conflict. It's an armed conflict of do-do-do and do-do-do. Yep. Shot heard around the world was fired at Lexington and Concord. And then that's when they said, all right, this means war. They didn't get what they wanted out of the First Continental Congress because King George did not accept their Declaration of Resolves, which is pretty much a big I'm sorry letter, but take away the Intolerable Acts, please. King George did not accept that. And so we have the Second Continental Congress. Tell me a little bit about that. Go ahead, Abigail.
It organized the Continental Army. And then, they named George Washington as commander. And then the Revolutionary War began as a colony on independence movement.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything anybody wants to add to that?
They took stronger measures against the Crown.
Excellent. Yep. So they took stronger measures against the Crown and decided this is time to react. Therefore, they built Continental Army, named George Washington commander, and they said, all right, let's get this rolling. Are we good with that? All right. Just gonna scroll down past delegates. Why do the colonists object to Britain's parliament placing taxes on the colonies? Olivia? It wasn't fair. So they didn't think it was fair, but why? Ella? Excellent. No taxation without representation. None of the colonies are represented in Parliament. Therefore, they don't have a say in the decision making. Right? They don't have a say in decision making. Think about it. It's super easy to tax people when they're not in the room telling you no. Right? So Parliament taxed the colonies, even though the colonies don't have representation. Are we good with that? Right? We in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania, we pay taxes because they fund our public schools and they fund our streets and our roads for potholes to get filled up after the winter, and for parks to be made, and for, you know, playgrounds to be made. We pay taxes for those things because we are the direct beneficiaries of those things, of those programs, right? Because when they make those kinds of improvements, we can drive on the street and not get a popped tire from a pothole in the ground. We can enjoy ourselves and go to the park with our friends and take a walk in Alberthorpe. And we can send our kids to public school if we want to, because that is funded by the state, which is funded by you as a taxpayer. In this situation, colonies are paying the taxes and not getting any of the benefits. They're not getting the parks. They're not getting the benefits of this. Great Britain is benefiting from it because it's helping them pay off their French and Indian War. Does that make sense? Cool. Are we ready to move on? How did the goals of the delegates attending the First and Second Continental Congress differ? This is important, and if you think about it, it's actually quite simple. Morgan?
So in the first one, they got rejected, and the second, the Declaration of Independence actually passed.
Good. So, good. We are missing a few details, but you're onto the right track. All right, girls, this is huge. First Continental Congress, they were not looking to separate from Great Britain. They were looking to resolve their issues. Remember the Declaration of Resolves? It was considered the olive branch petition. The olive branch petition, where they said, let me extend an olive branch to you, which means like, I'm gonna say sorry, you're gonna forgive me, and everything's gonna be okay. They extended an olive branch petition. The king rejected it. Right? The king rejected it. The First Continental Congress aimed to make things right with Great Britain and restore self-rule in the colonies. Because at this point, with the Intolerable Acts, Massachusetts no longer had self-rule. Under the Intolerable Acts, the king, he created stricter policies that had to be, what am I trying to say? Intolerable Acts made it so that they had greater control over the colonies. That King George had better control over the colonies. Now, they said, we're gonna try to see if they'll forgive us for, you know, everything that happened, like the Boston Tea Party and things like that. but they have to repeal the intolerable acts. It's a declaration of resolves. They're trying to find a resolution between the two. Right? That was the purpose of the first Continental Congress, to make things right. The purpose of the second Continental Congress was what? What was the purpose of the second Continental Congress?
To have their independence from Britain.
To separate, to get ready for war. Excellent. So the first one is to find a resolution, make things right with Britain. Great. Britain. And then an example of this would be the Olive Branch Petition, AKA the Declaration of Resolves. And then the Second Continental Congress was get ready for war. Because ultimately, this was rejected. The First Continental Congress, the purpose of it, which was the Declaration of Resolve to make things right, the king rejected it. And so that led them to get ready for war. First one was to make things right, the second one was to go to war. That is the main difference between them. The different goals of the delegates. Are we good? I think we're good. Is it over right now, class? Okay. If I made a video of myself explaining answers to section 3 and answers to section 4, would we watch it? All right, just because we didn't get to it. And it's going to be on your assessment tomorrow. Okay, maybe in the other classes I'll get through more, so I'll just post the video from another class. I'll post this one too, but it'll be up to you. Maybe I'll even just post this video and then post a video of myself explaining these other key terms.
So we don't, like, we're not being tested on section 5.
Did I post the video of myself for section 5? I didn't. Did you guys read section 5? Yesterday, you didn't read section 5? No, you're doing, yeah, no, we're not doing section 5. Not tomorrow, at least. That's gonna be in your unit test. We're not doing section 5 tomorrow, though. Too much goes into it. Yeah.
Are there a lot of short answers?
What's up?
Is there a lot of short answers?
There will be, I think, 3 short answers, and then there will be 1 essay. And the essay is most likely gonna be on the Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan, comparing and contrasting them. Girls, email me with any questions. I will post that video later. Good luck studying tonight. Your homework is to study for your assessment tomorrow. It's gonna be 45 minutes, and once you open it, you have to take it. I'm not reopening it. And it's due by 11:59.